This week we have UFC Perth in Australia that's warming us up for finally, after over a month and a half pretty much, of not having a pay-per-view. This light heavyweight main event is going to be warming us up for next week's absolutely insane stacked card, UFC 320, headlined by Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, and we could get a potential title challenger out of this matchup. You have Carlos Ulberg, a up-and-coming Australian prospect who trains in the same gym as Volk and Izzy and Dan Hooker, taking on the comeback story that we all want to see with Dominick Reyes, a guy who was once right there at the light heavyweight title and, of course, infamously almost beat John Jones, but to lose, went on his crazy downfall, but has now had a completely incredible resurgence in his career, one that we rarely ever see from a fighter that's had the kind of downfall he's had. And yeah, this is the fight night in Australia this upcoming weekend. And you look at the card, really, like, this is one of the first cards I've seen in a while where every single fight involves a fighter from the region. Almost every single fight has an Australian, except for one fight, which is this fight right here. And then this entire main card is all like of the UFC's Australian fighters they're trying to push. You've got Tom Nolan, Jake Matthews, Jimmy Crute, Jack Jenkins, and Justin Tafa, of course, as the main card opener. They had both Tafa brothers on here, but Junior Tafa pulled out. And you look, there's not really much that I'm going to be talking about because a lot of these fighters I really don't know. Whatever, you got Colby Thickness versus Josias Musasa. Oban Elliott is on the card. He is looking to bounce back on a win versus Jonathan Mikalev, Andrei Petrowski. And then Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Bellato is your featured prelim. Navajo Sterling, 7-0. Really good Australian prospect, taking on Rodolfo Bellato, who had a embarrassing last showing versus Paul Craig, and where he pretended to get knocked out and was like scrambling on the floor, acting all confused. It was just a really pathetic scene to see from a professional UFC fighter to kind of do the fight like that. And then you go into this main card, Justin Tafa, overrated heavyweight, taking on Louis Sutherland. Charlie Campbell versus Tom Nolan. Tom Nolan, a very tall, lengthy Australian fighter, 9-1. This is a good, I guess, matchup. I mean, these guys, this is a good card. It's okay, but like nothing. This is, again, the second fight night in a row that we're getting where it's like there's not really much to it, not much substance. It's really just carried by the main event. These are all good, rounded Australian fighters, which I get it for the fight night, but they could have made this a little more better, a little more stacked. Jimmy Crute versus Ivan Urslan. I'm going to go with Jimmy Crute. And then whatever, Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Tavares. I mean, this is your co-main event. Yeah. They had Junior Tafa before as a co-main event. So, like, yeah, I'm just here to talk about Carlos Ulberg versus Dominick Reyes. Carlos Ulberg, what do they call him? The Black Jaguar versus Dominick Reyes, the Devastator. Dominick Reyes. Where do we even begin with Dominick Reyes? Complete 360 in his career. Or is the right term 180, right? Since losing to John Jones, he got KO'd 3 fights in a row. To Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prohaska, Ryan Spann. 3 devastating KOs, and people really thought this guy was done. I mean, on paper, it definitely seemed like it. 3 straight KOs after losing to the title, in which people thought that maybe he won versus John Jones. Then he comes back, knocks out Jacoby, knocks out Anthony Smith, knocks out Nikita Krylov within the first round back in April. That's 3 straight KOs after getting KO'd 3 straight times. Dominick Reyes is on one of the best comeback stories we have ever seen in the UFC. And I know that everyone would love to see him still get it over a guy like this, Carlos Ulberg, who on the other hand is an up-and-coming young prospect, still very young in his UFC career, on like a 7-fight win streak. Most notable wins, are Volkan Ozdemir and Jan Blachowicz. Not the strongest competition. Taking Jan Blachowicz is on the kind of like the declining end of his career. But Lito Alonzo Menafield, not really the strongest record and resume right now for Carlos Ulberg. Wow, it's even more than 7-fight win streak. Submission, KO. His last 2 fights, decisions though. So this is a fantastic fight to see really which guy could push above the other. And as much as I really want to see Dominick Reyes, and I really hope he could, with pulling off the win this weekend. And that would be 4 straight wins after losing to John Jones in the title shot, losing 4 straight. He wins this, he could be next for that title shot. Who else do you have in the mix? I mean, Yuri Prohaska and Khalil Roundtree are fighting also under that 320 card, so really it could be either of them. But if Dominick Reyes wins, he's right there as well, and it would be an incredible story to see. But as much as we want to see the Dominick Reyes comeback story, I feel like Carlos Ulberg is just more tactical. He's more strategic. He's more of a detailed striker than maybe Dominick Reyes' last couple wins, right? Dustin Jacoby's a little bit reckless, and Anthony Smith just was not the same on the back end of his career. And then Nikita Krylov, since coming back, Dominick Reyes fought him after he took a long layoff, and he just lost to Bogdan Guskov, I think, also getting finished within the first round. So Nikita Krylov is not aging well, but still, it's really good to see. It's really amazing to see how Dominick Reyes has evolved and come back into the mix. So hopefully I'm wrong, but I'm feeling like Carlos Ulberg could pull it, is going to win. But I would love to see Dominick Reyes over Carlos Ulberg. And yeah, I don't have much to say. I really just don't on this card. This card doesn't really have much excitement for me for Australia's fight night. UFC does Australia dirty, honestly. What was the last thing they had in Australia? UFC 312. That was what? Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland. Yeah. Those are my thoughts on that main event. Let's see it now. Another thing that we just got to quickly talk about. UFC Brazil right now, the main event is in question because apparently Rafael Fiziev pulled out due to injury. So who is going to replace him against the all-star, all-time future UFC Hall of Famer Charles Oliveira, a 35-11 fighter. Charles Oliveira coming off the KO from Ilia Topuria in the first round. Such a quick turnaround for a star like this. But this is what he wants. He wants to be able to bounce back in a main event in Brazil, which could be the best possible thing for Charles Oliveira to do in his career. We don't know how long we have him left, but this could be amazing. So Rafael Fiziev, he's pulled out. It was a great stylistic matchup, honestly, for both fighters. Rafael Fiziev was a very winnable matchup for Charles Oliveira to come back. It was a great step up in competition for Rafael Fiziev. So they offered the fight to Benoit Saint-Denis, but Benoit and his management team have confirmed they are not going to accept this fight. It's too short of a notice. They feel like they said literally, we respect Charles Oliveira way too much to take this fight on short notice. It requires the proper preparation, and that is very true. So respect to them. So here are the options that are floating around. Here's a crazy one, very far-fetched, but could be possible. An Arman Tsarukyan rematch. Even though Arman Tsarukyan is apparently going to be fighting Dan Hooker in Qatar, I think they're going to keep that because they want Arman to really have a proper training camp and have the right weight for his next fight. Because if he misses weight again, oh my God, bro. This dude is going to be cut from the UFC. So I think they're going to keep him on track to fight Dan Hooker. I think they're going to give Charles Oliveira either a Gamrot or maybe Renato Moicano, another Brazilian. Gamrot, Renato Moicano, or who else in the lightweight division could step up? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're going to think of... I'm not thinking of anyone. You know what? We could quickly go and look at the rankings. Let's go to lightweight real quick. Yeah, so you have Gamrot, Dariush, Grant Dawson. I mean, who else? Charles Oliveira is still a number 4, so like really the only option for him to fight on short notice that's like kind of still like within the realm is either Gamrot or Moicano. Yeah. So those are the options for Charles Oliveira as a replacement in Brazil, but hopefully we got to keep him on this card. But this Brazil card is a phenomenal card. This is a great fight night for Brazil. Davison Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. I don't know why, but Gabriel Bonfim is apparently fighting Jack Hermanson now instead of Randy Brown. This would have been a sick fight if they had Randy Brown on here. But apparently he's going to get taken off. Renata Diniz versus Mario Pinto, and then Walter Walker, the king of the heel submission. Right now he's getting everyone with it. He's 14-1 for taking on Mohammed Usman, 2 brothers of other UFC higher studded UFC fighters. This is Kamaru Usman's brother, and this is Johnny Walker's brother, and then Vicente Luque to open up the card. And then a bunch of other Brazilians, Vitor Portrino. This is a fantastic Brazil fight night, though. So they got to find a replacement for Charles Oliveira for this fight night in Rio. And yeah, that's the story. But we are so close to the beginning of a stacked October. We're literally every single, well, this one is not so strong anymore now that Fluffy's off it. But really every week is going to be amazing after this. Like 320, Brazil, Vancouver, Abu Dhabi, and then Madison Square Garden, and then Qatar. So a lot to look forward to. UFC's been kind of dry lately. I know it's only been 2 weeks, and Noche's main event was sick. But I don't know, we've had like only 2 events within the last month, pretty much. So, yeah, that is the story. And until next time.